Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page right here at Facebook, where I do a daily live stream around the cards, the divination cards that I draw in the morning. And it's a general reading, just for the information, the energy that's flowing today. And we get to have a spiritual conversation about that. Yeah, so welcome. I'm broadcasting from Star Nations Academy, which is on same property that our house is on. It's about not quite a block from my house, and it's a gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous day here in Tomah, Wisconsin. I live in the northwestern part of the state, about an hour east of the Mississippi, and it is sunny and blue skies. And can you believe it? It's 38 degrees. 38 degrees. It's like balmy weather here. And guaranteed, you'll see people running around with no jackets and shorts on. I'm guaranteed. And so it's a gorgeous day. Yeah, and it always makes me smile. You know, anytime the sun's out, because we could go days with it being cloudy, right? Especially this time of year. So, welcome. Today is Thursday, January 3rd. I guess I'm really hoping for warm weather. January 3rd. And we're at the very beginning of 2019. 2019. How many times have you said Happy New Year in general to anybody, everybody? And how many times has it been said to you in the last, 3 days, right? Last 3 days. A lot. I was downtown this morning, downtown Tomah. It's not that big of a town. I had to do some exchange Christmas gifts for my mom and run errands. Took George to puppy daycare this morning. Our puppy, he's 5 months old. And they told me that we had to switch him over to more adult food because he's gaining too much weight. And he doesn't eat that much, really. But anyway, he's 52 pounds now, 52 pounds, and a little over 5 months old. He's going to be a big boy. So anyway, so he's at puppy daycare. I got to run errands. Yeah. So before we get rolling with the card draw information, I'm going to like and share. And if I could ask you to do the same thing. And we, here at Star Nations Radio Network, we ask, just about every live stream show host asks this. Why? Is because it helps us get the spiritual message out more often. The news feed, there's a lot of messages that come through, right? And it's really easy for one to get buried. And we do know that Facebook really likes, and it really likes sharing and comments too. But if you could help us to do the sharing, it would help us to be in the news feed more often, right? And I'm going to do the same thing. I've got my phone out. I'm going to locate the live stream. And I'm going to share it to my own newsfeed. That way, my friends know that I'm live streaming. And I'm just going to say, "Hey, friends, I'm live streaming," and then to please join. There we go. There we go. It doesn't take long because I do this so often that, I have quick keys now. and I really want to thank Stephanie. Stephanie's in the house, and it looks like she was liking and sharing already. So thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. Stephanie is our social media manager. You'll see her in just about every live stream show, making comments and sharing and doing the stuff she does so well. And so thank you, Stephanie. What else are you saying here? Still showing -2 here. Did my grounding and stretching out on the porch. It was blissful. Oh, -2. Yikes. That's cold, man. That's really cold. We have not been below zero here yet. And Julie Shumway Hill is here. Good afternoon to you too. And thank you so much for sharing, Julie. I do appreciate it. Yeah, it's good for you, Stephanie, doing the grounding and stretching. So, we're well past that 12-12 gateway, and we were every day I was asking you guys, did you do your grounding? Did you do your grounding? Because it was so important during that time frame to be in a place of grounded and stable to receive the gifts coming from spirit, right? Through that gateway. And I think the gateway was, if I remember right, evolution consciousness. And so getting you prepared for that next vibrational frequency expansion. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. And, and I have to say, I'm feeling really, really good. Getting a little extra sleep, which is always good. But I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but feeling not as stretched and uncomfortable in that stretching. That I don't even know how to describe it, but I feel so much better today, and I have since yesterday, probably afternoon. I think that with all the cosmic energy that was going on around the end of December, we were kind of in a little bit of a lull, and from what I understand, we're heading into another time frame around the 5th and the 6th, right? I think that's what it was, what I heard, and I believe is that a lunar eclipse? There's something going on in a couple of days, and in fact, somebody was just saying that in the next day and a half or so, for those people who are very sensitive to moon energy, should be probably feeling some of that effect soon. And so, but in the moment, we're kind of in between. And I don't know about you, but the energy is feeling pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Here we are at the beginning of 2019, and this is how I usually do my work for Star Nations, right? So I'm working on the January issue of Star Nations magazine. And many, many times what I have playing is YouTube's different readers, different kind of readers. I'm just kind of checking out, how things are shifting and changing for online videos and that kind of thing, but mainly just listening. And sometimes I do SoundCloud as well. And one of the themes, and including Polly Joe's show last night, one of the themes that seems almost every reader I've listened to is that they're talking about changing. Change is on the horizon. Change is almost here, right? And many of them are talking about shining our light. And and Polly Joe's show was no different last night. If you were in the chat for that, for the Soul Connections live stream, healing night, you could sense it. Almost every card had something to do with change and shining their light, using your gifts, and it's been no different here, right? At the daily live streams, we've been talking about that for weeks and weeks and weeks. Julie is saying new moon, partial eclipse. Yeah, that's what I thought. That partial eclipse, and so those eclipse energies. Now, I am no expert in the cosmic stuff. I am not an astrologer. Although I know a lot of astrologers, and basically they're all trying to explain what the eclipse energy is about, right? And it's about that changing and releasing, right? Letting go, and especially when it's happening in a new moon. Holy cow, new moon! All right, so we've got Stephanie is saying there's a solar eclipse in Capricorn on the 5th. Perseverance is the key word associated with it. Jupiter squares Neptune on the 13th. Take off the rose-tinted glasses and look around with a clear head. The 21st is a full lunar eclipse in Leo. See, those eclipses are pretty potent stuff. And if you have any, like I know Cancer, those water signs, they go through quite the strong energies. Because they're so connected to it, right? Thank you for that. I think that's Stephanie, right? I don't know if that's Julie Hedges. Good meditation and readings. Yes, it was. It was. You're talking about Polly Joe's. Yeah, it was. It was a pretty powerful night. Let's put it that way. That meditation, when we do our collectively, when we do our healing work that night, we each one of us have an individual intention, and we're working with our individual teams. And Polly Joe and her team, what they do is they work with each one of us and assist in the releasing and the healing, right? So our team works with her team. And yeah, it was pretty powerful clearing last night. Yeah. In fact, when I left last night, I was still clearing it. It almost felt like indigestion or heartburn, and so I knew that I was at work. Yay! Yeah, yeah. Yep, it's Stephanie. Yay! Thank you for clarifying that. So let's get to the card reading. It's an odd sensation at my house when it's quiet. Between Mom and George, they're only, they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. We have an elder who's 99, and we have a puppy 5 months old. And so the energies are, they're different, but yet they're very, they want my attention. And so usually it's a very interesting mornings. But this morning, because George is at puppy daycare, trying to get everything in. Once I got back home, it was so quiet. Mom is so busy with the House of Representatives and, doing their thing today with the new incoming, newly elected people to the House of Representatives. And so she's really busy with that. So she's in her own little world with that. And with George gone, it was so quiet. So getting to the card draw this morning, cup of coffee and the cards, perfect morning. Perfect morning. It was nice. Hey, Jackie's here. Yes, last night was very powerful. It really was. And those card readings, when she said she was drawing cards for us, that was going to represent the energy for the entire new year for 2019. So, at some point, I don't know exactly when, but at some point, I'm going to watch the archive, whether I'm going to rewatch it in Facebook or over at the YouTube channel for Star Nations. I want to listen to it again, because each one of our cards helps us to sense and feel how the energy is going to flow as a collective, right? As a collective. And so that's going to be very helpful, especially those of us that are teachers, those of us that are energy workers, healers, to be able to take in that information, even though we might not mentally remember it. Our light bodies, in our spiritual work, will understand that when we see it again or when we feel it, right? So I'm going to do that. Yeah. Barbie, better wear your mother of pearl. Yeah. My rainbow moonstone ring tonight and tomorrow, this weekend. Yeah, definitely. Barbie, it's so good to have you in the house. Yeah. And hi, Violet. Violet's here too. Good to have you guys here. We're going to start talking about the cards that was drawn this morning. We're still using the same cards, the same deck, the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray. Yeah, we're still using the same deck. And this lady keeps coming back. She keeps popping back up at least twice a week. Mirror Guardian. Mirror Guardian. I'm going to hold it just a little bit closer so you can really see. Lily Moses is such a great artist. She's the one who did the artwork for the cards. Yeah. Mirror Guardian. So the Guardian is gazing into a mirror, a very ornate mirror. Very ornate mirror. And there she has those big earrings on. And whenever I see that, it's about clear audience, clear hearing, clear hearing. And what is she gazing into the mirror? What's being reflected back to her is the Milky Way. Yeah. Gorgeous card, isn't it? Did you take a look at her ring? See if I can hold it close enough and get it in there. Her ring. Doesn't that look like the moon? Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. So, when we're talking about the mirror, the reflection, right? We have, and I'm sure that you guys have heard this before, is that that those in our life reflect something to us, and we reflect something to them. We do that reflection work, and sometimes it's explained or given out in kind of a negative way, right? Especially when there's a misunderstanding or what I call as soul growth events. Those are the ones that maybe be very uncomfortable. And it can happen. It can happen, obviously, but it doesn't always have to be a negative reflection. It doesn't have to be always a negative reflection. Those seems to be the ones that we gravitate toward or we talk about, we share the story about, is the negative, right? When there's just as many, if not more, positive reflections that are being reflected back to us. And in that reflection back to us in the positive, sometimes it's a different kind of uncomfortableness. It's when somebody is reflecting back to us our strengths, right? Those are the compliments that sometimes it's hard for us to accept. We try to brush it off. Oh yeah, no, that was somebody else. We're going to give the credit to someone else, right? Or it's no big deal. It's like really no big deal. But those are the times that I think that we have something positive being reflected back to us. And they, meaning a lot of the readers, and Spirit is telling us that the things that we recognize and see in our environment around us, in our own world, okay, whether it's your home life or your work life, the people that you socialize with, that our world reflects back to us what's going on inside of us. Yeah. So if you're noticing and paying attention to the positive stuff, what's going on in your life that's positive, even though it may be subtle, it's still there, right? And the more we focus our attention on the positive, we start seeing it more often. Do you ever notice that? You see it more often. Why? Because we're turning our attention to it. It's kind of like when you decide that you're going to get a different vehicle, a different car, and you're looking at different makes, models, colors, blah, 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 right? And you finally settle on, you want to get a blue car that is maybe a Chevy, that is, two-door, and you kind of you really hone in on what you're looking for. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you see blue Chevys, two-door. They're everywhere, right? It's the same thing. It's because we're turning our attention to it. We're focusing on it. And so we can use the same analogy in our world around us, is that if we focus on the positive, I'm not saying the negative's not happening, because we do live in a world that's about duality, right? And I'm not saying that we should hide our heads in the sand or ignore it, Not saying that. Is do the 80-20. 80% of your time spent with positive stuff, and do the 20% spent with the less than positive. Because even with the less than positive, many times that's where our life lessons lie. Our soul growth lies in that. And the more often that we can learn the life lesson, and in a more comfortable way. I'm not saying that it won't stretch you, because it will. But when we look at them and pay attention to them when they're little, that's a heck of a lot easier to deal with than when it's the 2x4, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying don't look at them or disregard them if they're feeling negative. It's just don't give them as much of your power. Does that make sense? And the only reason I even say this is because, of course, I've been there. When we have that choice, we have a choice. Where are you going to place your focus, your energy? You're going to place it in the 80% that is positive, or you're going to place it in the 20% that's less than positive, right? Let me tell you, it's so much more fun when you spend more time with the positive stuff. I want to ask a question to those in the live chat. When someone pays you a compliment, when somebody pays you a positive compliment, do you take it with gratefulness, right? I think the ones that's hardest for me to take, even now, even after all these years of doing all this inner work, right, decades, are the ones that are the compliments of gee, you're a beautiful woman. You look really, really good. Those kinds of compliments. I say thank you and I appreciate that. Oh, geez, you're sweet. I used to say it kind of graduated to that. And when I first started working on accepting compliments, and people would say that, I would say, oh, my mom made my clothes, or my mom did my hair, those kinds of things when I was a kid. As I grew older, it was always, oh yeah, I got this outfit at blah, 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 or, I was always giving someone else the credit for it. Or I would say, oh, it's just good genetics. Because, people would say, and they still do, is that you don't look like you are whatever age. And it's like, well, thanks. Yeah, I got really good genetics. My parents don't look their age either. They look like 20 to 30 years younger than what their chronological age was. And so I never really fully accepted the compliment. And so when I was doing that, I was negating the reflection that was being shown to me, right? Yeah. So how do you take the compliment? Do you take it? Do you not take it? Do you give them partial credit, like we did in the trivia? Partial credit. And it tells something about, I think, where we are in our growth, and how other people see us is a reflection. And we're reflecting it back to them. Ooh, think about that. Think about what I just said. Feel what that feels like to you. Is that if somebody is giving us a positive compliment, they're reflecting something back to us, right? What did we just do to them when we didn't take the compliment? Because we're reflecting something back to them, right? Yeah. Yikes. Julia say, I try to say thank you, but inside I often discount it. Still working on it. Yeah. Yeah. Even if we don't say the, 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 the discount out loud, our thoughts still carry a lot of our energy. And sometimes our emotion is much more, it's stronger, right, in the discount than the acceptance. Yeah. And I hear you about what I'm still working on it. Yeah. And Barbie said, at first I didn't know how to take a compliment, but as I go older and wiser, I just say thank you. That's good, Barbie. It really is good. It took me quite a while to be able to do that and not give someone else the compliment or not give someone else the credit for it, right? Yeah. Gee, I like your hair. I like your hair. This is when I had really long hair, right? And there's something that happens, I know for sure with Native Americans, because I don't know if I had a dime for every time somebody wanted to touch my hair. Um, and I had to find out. I would ask, why? No, you cannot touch my hair. But why would you want to? And it was like, well, it's so shiny and it's so dark. It's so shiny and dark. I just want to see if it's real. Okay, it is real, but no, you can't touch it. That is the oddest request to make. Mm-hmm. And even with that, I would say like, oh, it's the shampoo or, it's the cut. I would give someone else the credit. Hi, Alex. Good to have you here. Can I have one, please? I'm not doing individual card draws. This is for all of us. Okay. And so if you hear or see or feel something that resonates with you, with what we're sharing, then that piece is for you. Okay. But we're not doing individual card draws. If you enjoy individual card draws, we do have 2 shows here at Star Nations Radio Network, live stream shows on Facebook that do individual card draws. The Tarot Journey, and that is on the 3rd Monday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern. The host's name is Julie Hedges. The name of the show is The Tarot Journey. And many times, the last 10 or 15 minutes of her show, she will offer to do card readings for as many people that she can fit in that 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. And the other one is a weekly show, which is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And she does do individual card draws the second half of the show. The first half is a healing meditation, and then she draws cards for everybody who wants a card. So sometimes we're there for like an hour and a half because there's like last night she drew 47 cards. Yes, I said 47. 47 cards. So so if you enjoy having individual cards, Alex, come and join us on Monday, the 3rd Monday, or next week Wednesday, okay, at 7 p.m. All right. Jackie is saying, I say thank you and try to quickly change the subject. Oh, that's a good one. So you try to distract them. Yeah. And I bet it works too, right? It works. Yeah. Maybe that is something that we can be more aware of, right? As we move further into 2019, is the reflection work. It's not always a negative. A mirror is not always negative. And so when we're noticing the positive things in our world, and when those people in our lives reflect back to us that positiveness, especially with the compliments, maybe this is the reason why the mirror guardian keeps showing up, right? Here, let me hide that and show her again. Because I tell you what, this card comes to visit us at least once a week, if not twice a week. And what it says is take time to reflect. Take time to reflect. So if we're noticing the positive reflections in the world around us, that's telling us that positiveness is coming from within ourselves. Okay. And so if we spend and turn our attention to the positive reflections, if we do that 80-20 split or that 90-10 split, however you want to do it, but spend more time with the positive aspects of your world, that's telling you that there's those positive aspects of you inside. And so we're giving ourselves credit for the work that we've done, all of those classes, all of those healing, self-healing, self-care that we've done over the decades, over the years, is to actually acknowledge the work that we've done, right? Knowing that we're still here learning and expanding and growing, but we also have to acknowledge where we are and what we've gained, right? And spending more time on the positive reflections. And we can also consciously reflect back to someone else a positive, because we're actually helping them to see the positive within themselves. I know I make it sound easy, don't I? Especially with those people that maybe they're not our favorite people. And yet they're here, they are in our lives, they're in our world, and they're here to express us, right? To us, our world. Yeah. Stephanie, what's up? She says, my computer is freezing up. I'll have to try to flip over on the phone. Oh, okay. All right. Just let me know if you can't, and if you need something done, I will try to do it on this end if I can. Thank you for explaining the card draw, Stephanie. Yeah, okay. So here, let's see what Kyle has to say, the author, about the cards, about the mirror guardian, and say, take time to reflect. Take some time to reflect on your strengths and challenges and how far you've come. Recognize your gifts. See, and there we are, back to recognizing our gifts. He goes on to say, is that even if you're going through a challenging time, the angel still holds you in the highest esteem. The mirror guardian, a female angel looking into the mirror of life, invites you to witness your spiritual strength and beauty, to see yourself as the angels do. So looking at the positive aspects of yourself, right? And accepting the reflections and the compliments when they come from the individuals within our own world. He goes on to say that the mirror represents the fact that your core beliefs and ideas are in fact what is reflected back to you by your world. Your life is one big mirror of how you feel within, and the mirror guardian helps you to recognize that. When this card appears, you're being invited to take some time to see where you are right now. Right now. And what a great card for the third day into 2019, right? Yeah. Yum. I've got tea this afternoon. He goes on to say that you are a beautiful being who has surmounted so many challenges and expanded in so many ways. Your angels are now guiding you to take inventory of your life, to take the time to note all of your recent experiences, the challenges that you've surmounted, the strengths you have developed, and the lessons you have learned. Yeah, and basically is to give yourself credit for the work that you've done, right? And those of us that are those gold star students, from like grade school on, all the way through elementary and high school, and if you did college work or post-secondary, whether it was to a technical college or university, or even if classes that you've taken to get certified in something, right? Is that there's those of us who go the distance to grab that gold star. Yeah. I tried to flip that, and I have, into a positive, because many times that gold star has to do with our ego, right? I remember the day I recognized that. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, how can I have this as a positive in my life rather than a competitive ego thing, right? And so now the gold star is about our ancestors and shining brilliantly. My gifts, not so much to be in a competitive state, but to be reminded of, I'm working on my gifts. I'm using them. This is my goal, to use my gifts at 100%. I want to know what that feels like. I want to know what's that like in my world, right? And so, careful what you ask for, because there's work that comes with that. A lot of healing work, right? And the challenges that come up. And so that's my goal anyway. It's not so much an ego-driven thing, but more of a heart-driven, because I believe that our gifts are meant to be in service to others. And so that's my reflection. So here we go. This is the first card. Mirror Guardian, taking time to reflect. Right? I move that over just a little bit. Yeah. So we get to do our own assessment, taking a look at your what's going on in your world, right? In your neck of the woods. What's being reflected back to you? And when we first do that, is just to notice. You don't have to do anything about it right away. Is just to assess it. Take it in. Take it in through all of your senses. Hear it, see it, feel it, sense it. And then look at what you want to adjust, because the adjustment occurs on the inside. On the inside. And so then it will be reflected back to you in your outer world. Yeah, it's good stuff. How about that second card? This is one of my favorite ones. Mountains. Mountains. Stone people. Mountain people. Yeah. There's so much. Okay, what they're showing us here in this card is what we see at the surface, right? We see the mountaintops. And for those of you who live near mountain ranges, you know that there's so much more going on below the mountain as well, because they're deep within Grandmother Earth herself. As above, so below. As within, so without. That's what we're working on right here today with these two cards. Yeah, the Hermetic law, right? As above, so below. As within, so without. Yeah, mountains, they are ancient beings. They've been here for millennia. They have seen generations come and go. They've seen the evolution of all of their relatives, whether they're tree people or two-leggeds or four-leggeds. They have seen. They have seen and taken in so much. They're part of our history keepers, right? Yeah, they're part of the history keepers. Just like the whales are in the oceans, so are mountains, stones. They've been here for thousands and thousands of years. And yeah. One time, this is just a couple years ago, I was in Ireland on a trip, and with many Klansmen, and we were at a grotto. It's a Catholic grotto, and it was gorgeous there. And it was, Ireland's wet. My spiritual team was telling me to take my rain gear with me, my rain pants and jacket. And And so we get to this place, and we went in, and it was quiet. You were encouraged not to speak, but to be there in silence, right? And I mean, that's an experience in itself. But I was finished. I finished up, and I walked out, and I was going to go to the bus to wait, right? And I could hear or feel somebody calling me, and so I stood there for a minute, and there was this stone that you could just see the top of it, right? There was so much more below the ground level, but it was huge. It was, I don't know, maybe 5 feet across or so, maybe 4 feet. And it was kind of buried a little bit by the tall grass. And so I walked over there, and I put some tobacco down for it, and thanked it for calling me over. And I asked, is there something that you'd like to share with me? And he said, granddaughter, take a seat, sit down. And I'm looking, he goes, no, you can sit on me. And so there's the reason why I needed my rain gear, is because it was really wet and I had to sit. And so I sat down, and he says, what I'd like you to do is look straight ahead. And he says, do you see all those trees? And I'm going, yes. And he's going, well, he says, there was a time when there were no trees there. I've seen those trees start as just saplings, seeds, and watched them grow. I've seen them cut down and replanted. And he says, now turn around and look the other direction. And so I did. And he says, do you see that meadow? Mm-hmm. He says, that wasn't always a meadow. There used to be trees there. And then he says, they planted trees, they cut them. They planted trees, they cut them. And I'm saying, who? And he says, the two-legged humans. He says that I've been here for so long. I've seen the changes, and some of them are good and some of them are not. He said, but the good ones, he says, more children are coming. More children are coming here. So I get to spend time with the babies. Yeah. So it was this connection to a stone, to a grandfather in Ireland, that it's a memory I'll always have. And he was telling me about the grotto and how when it was when people first started using it. He says, I was very young then. But stones, mountains, they're ancient beings, and they hold so much information that if we just take the time to spend just a little bit of time with them, and just to sense their presence, right? And this is all about standing your ground. Stand your ground. The strength of a mountain. And we've been encouraged by Spirit to take a look at our belief systems, and we've been encouraged with this. The first card is to really take a look at what's being reflected back to us, and to be aware of what we're reflecting to someone else for them. And so we're also reflecting our integrity, what we believe, how we treat other people, or other beings, I should say, more than just the two-leggeds, other beings in that reflection. And so the mountain energy, is to be able to be grounded to Grandmother Earth, so that you are stable and calm, strong. And when we're in that place of being grounded, the reflections that we give to other people are much more positive, much more positive reflections. We're reflecting the best of ourselves. How's that? We're reflecting the best of ourselves. Yeah. And so if we're standing our ground, that also means that in our, what we have decided to keep as a belief, right? As a belief, that we get to share that in a good way. In a good way. Does that make sense? Mountains. Let's see. I just want to see what Kyle has to say about that. Does that make any sense? That mountain energy given these two cards together, right? These two cards together. The Mirror Guardian and the Mountain. That we can be grounded to Grandmother Earth, just like the mountain. Strong and stable. Strong and stable. Yeah. Hey, my sister Christine is in the house. Christine's here. Yay. Good to have you here, Christine. I just want to double check something here. Good. I didn't miss any. Okay. Last night for a little while, the comments kind of froze for a little bit. I was just double checking to make sure that they weren't. So let's see what Kyle, the author, says about mountains. He says, hold firm to what you believe in or focusing on, because it's absolutely right. Know that heaven and earth are supporting you. So if we're talking about our work here with the Mirror Guardian and what we are taking in as a reflection from our environment, all the work that we've already done, our soul work, our soul growth, taking it all in, spending more time with the positive stuff than the not so positive, being aware of what we're reflecting back to others, is that if we're focused on that and we're grounded, we're doing our soul work. We're shining. We get to get that gold star. Yeah. Hey, hello, Rowena. Good to have you here. First time viewer. Good to have you here. So glad you joined us. So let's see what Kyle has to say about that card. He says, mountains are strong and wise. They're rooted deep in the earth and reach high into the sky. They have been where they are for thousands of years. They have been home to animals. They've been climbed on by humans, and they have seen seasons come and go. No matter what has happened to them, they have remained strong, immovable, unshakable, and so they offer the spiritual energies of strength and resilience. Strength and resilience. And stability. Strength and resilience. You know, when I call in the four directions, right? When I'm doing ceremony, and I'm calling to the spirit of the north. This is what I usually say. I usually say I call to the spirit of the north, the spirit of balance, stability, and wisdom. And I ask that they please join our sacred circle so that we may have balance, stability, and to recognize our own wisdom and the wisdom of others. Right? Yeah. In the north, for me, on the medicine wheel, is the stone people. The stones, the mountains. And so when I call to them in that strength and the stability, and to have that so that we can recognize our own wisdom and the wisdom of each other. Because when we share, thank you for sharing, Marina. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much. I don't do individual card reads, not on this live stream, okay? I'm sure that there's Stephanie, who is our social media manager. She has explained it on the card draw. If you scroll through, it's not that far down in the explanation, okay? And so the spirit of the north, for me, that's also where the ancestors reside, the star people, that's where they reside. It's that ancient information, that ancient knowledge that we're calling in when we do that. And so when when we take on the medicine of a mountain medicine, is it's about that strength and that resilience. It's about being grounded to Grandmother Earth. And the energy, the medicine of a mountain, and how far you can feel it, it resonates, is hundreds of miles sometimes. I mean, think of the Rocky Mountains, right? Or the Appalachian Mountains. And how far, especially when you're very sensitive to earth energies, is that you can feel it as you're approaching. Okay, Steph, thank you so much for helping out. I appreciate it. And so when we have these two cards together, the first card was the Mirror Guardian. Reflection, taking time to reflect, seeing where you are right now and how far you've come. Because sometimes we lose sight of that. We're just so busy doing. And also, what is reflected back to us from our world? Because that shows us what's going on the inside. As above, so below. As within, so without. And if we're focusing on the positive reflections, and we're being a positive reflection, that's what we're focusing on. And so the mountain medicine, the strength of the mountain, can help us to do that as we're grounded. Yeah. Can you imagine having that mountain medicine behind us, helping us to radiate out our positive reflections? Holy smokes. That's huge medicine. That's huge. So I guess, if we're going to be talking about living our life in
I couldn't find and fix living a life in your music.
Stop. Alexa, stop. I hit the wrong button. Siri was trying to come into the show. I hit the wrong button. I was trying to dust off my crumbs off of my laptop. So anyway, if we're looking at how we want 2019 to roll for us, how it's going to, how we're going to move forward through that energy, getting this card on the third day, I think we're really being asked by Spirit to really be aware of what we are reflecting and what we receive in reflection. Being consciously aware. I love it. Yeah. There we are. Got to check the time. Oh, we got a couple minutes. Hey, Nadia is here too. Nadia, good to have you in the house. Nadia, I don't do individual card reads. I get asked that so often. Maybe Spirit's trying to tell me something, huh? Maybe we should do a couple of individual cards during the show. I don't know. Actually, the premise of the live stream, Nadia, is that I've done this for years. I draw cards in the morning to see what the energy of the day is like, what's most important for me to know about. And I've been doing that for like decades. Okay. And last fall, I kind of changed it up a bit and started asking my spiritual team to show me what energy is important for us as a collective to know about today for our highest good and highest good of all, and that we can share with others, right? And so it's just the information for all of us. And so whatever resonates with you in the sharing and the conversation is meant for you. And if it's not, that's okay too. That's all right. Yeah, and I should probably do this. Huh? I always forget to put my name up there. Yeah. So for those people who are just joining us, this is Star Nations organization and Star Nations Radio Network live stream shows here at Facebook. And we have many shows. I'm just one of many. And I'm also the steward. I'm the CEO of Star Nations organization. And I do a daily live stream based on the cards that I draw in the morning. And it's a great time to hang out with the Star Nations community, to spend some time with you in the afternoon. We check in with each other, right? And we share. It's a conversation, a spiritual conversation. We learn from each other. We're here to support each other. Many times there's longtime listeners, watchers of the show, that maybe, they're going through surgery, or they've been feeling ill or something, or they just got a brand new job, and so we're here to support each other. Okay. Thank you so much, Nadia. I appreciate that. I'll go back and watch the replay. Yeah. That would be nice. You can do it here at Facebook, or you can check it out on our YouTube channel too. I'll get uploaded there probably by early evening, I would imagine. So, where was I? Oh, we're at the top of the hour. Okay, so let's talk about that resonating. So, if whatever you heard today that resonated with you, I encourage you to embrace it. Pick it up and embrace it, and see how your day flows, where the energy flows, and if the information was helpful to you. Sometimes we're a direct participant in that energy flow, and sometimes we're a witness, right? And in either circumstance, I believe that we're there to learn something, and so hopefully the information, the card information, and the conversation would be helpful to you. If it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. It's okay. No worries. It just wasn't meant for you, or maybe you're just the messenger, right? You might know somebody who enjoys this kind of conversation, maybe was looking for some information similar to this, and you can just share with them the link, and then you're done, right? Good. Yay. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that some of the shows coming up, live stream shows coming up next week, and that is from Star to Stone on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Mervyn Kelly is the host for that show, and he is our resident expert on crystals and stones. He's a modern day druid, and he lives in England. And so if that kind of show interests you, that's at Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And then Polly Jo LeBay is on with Chakra Sessions at noon Eastern. And that is kind of like a mini class. She'll have a topic, and then what she'll do is she'll talk about our chakras and healing or removing interferences or blockages to that. And then she'll actually do a healing meditation to help us do that. And so that's Tuesday at noon. And then that evening is my show, my weekly show, which is Communications from Home. And that's on at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be talking about the January issue of Star Nations magazine that night. So giving you some insight to that, because we publish on the 10th. And so you'll get a sneak peek at the new magazine issue for 2019, the first one. And then on Wednesday, Polly Jo's back at 7 p.m. Eastern for Soul Connections. And Soul Connections is all about healing. She says her mission here in this lifetime is to heal the healer. And so if you're a light worker, an energy worker who hasn't been taking care of their own healing, their own self-care, Wednesday night could be for you. And because we're together in the healing, it can be kind of a powerful evening. Yeah. And she also does individual card reads, the second half of that show. So if you're interested in having a mini reading a card drawn for you, you can join us for that. Now, that particular show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay. All right. What else? I think next week. We usually have at the closed group, Star Nations Academy, we usually have a free mini class on the second Thursday of the month. What we're going to be doing, though, is moving that to the third Thursday just for January, because Polly Jo is going to be back. I was talking to her last night. We've been having some requests from people who are just joining us at Star Nations, and they're come to the realization that they're an empath. And they're saying, I don't know what to do with this. And actually, the few of them are coming from more of a place of fear than embracing a gift. And so Polly Jo is going to be in for that free mini class about empaths and our chakras. Just the basics, okay? Just the basics. And so you can join us for that. If you're not a member of the Closed Group Academy here at Facebook, you can just ask to join and we'll get that taken care of for you, okay? All right. So, it's 3:01. Julie is saying, your card draw show always gives me an energy boost mid-afternoon. Oh, yay. I'm like a good cup of coffee, huh? A little caffeine. Kayla. Hey, Kayla. Hello from New Zealand. May I have a card, please? I wish I could. First of all, we're at the top of the hour. It's an hour show. But I don't do individual card reads on this particular show, okay? We do have two shows that do the Tarot Journey and also Soul Connections. We'll get the links in there for you, Kayla. So if you want to come back and join us for those shows, you're more than welcome to do that, okay? And hello. Oh my gosh. Just as a side note, Kayla, this is the card deck that I've been using since the end of September. It's brand new, literally brand new. Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. And the artwork is by Lily Moses. Okay. Kyle lives in Glasgow, Scotland. Lily Moses lives in New Zealand. This deck was just published in 2018 and released in September. So it's literally a brand new deck. And so coming from New Zealand, I just thought maybe you'd like to know what deck we're using, okay? So please come back and join us again, Kayla and Nadia and Rowena. I'm so glad you guys, first-time watchers to here. And for those who've been here nearly since the beginning, I appreciate you too. You know I love you guys. And so we'll see you tomorrow for the card draw information and live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern, okay? Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. I love you guys.